It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and today we're going to be making some food dishes using beer. And this is going to be really fun to make. This is warm, healthy comfort foods. And then today, as of today, at taping of the show, it is so cold outside. Oh my Lord, it's May 16th, I believe, 17th. It's a Sunday. And it is just freezing out there. I think we're supposed to get like 38 tonight. So I thought, let's do something hearty and warm to fill you up. So we'll be making a beer beef stew. And of course, I always got to use Leinenkugels from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, my hometown. And this here is the summer shandy, which gives it just a pinch of lemon to it. So it just gives it a little different flavor. But it's going to be just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So what I have first, I have like a 2.5, 3 pound chuck roast, and I just cut these up into big, about 1-inch pieces. And you can buy it already cut up if you want, but it costs more. You know, if you cut it up yourself, you can get it the roast or get them on sale, and just cut it up yourself. You save a lot of money. But if you're in a hurry and convenience, you know, you can buy it already cut up for you. It's just that's a little expensive. Anyway, I'm going to put in my bag here. Oh, approximately about a half a cup of flour. And then we're going to do a little salt and pepper. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of kosher salt. And then I'll put in, I would say about a half a teaspoon, or a teaspoon of black pepper. Then I'm just going to shake this up a little bit. And then we want to coat our meat. Now, to our meat, you want to take and pat this dry, because moist meat doesn't sear. It doesn't brown nice if it's moist. So you just want to take and just pat dry your beef. While I'm doing that, I'm going to turn the Dutch oven on here. And I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And if you need to add more oil as you're browning, you can. This makes really a big difference when you go to brown your meat, because you want to sear the meat. We don't want to cook it all the way through. We just want to get brown crusties around the outside of the edges, outside of the beef. Okay, so we got that going, and then I'll just put this in there too. And then we can just take and just toss this around. I just find it easier rather than having to stick it in a bowl and dig it out or fish it out with a fork or something. This just makes this so much simpler. Okay. Now wait for that to come to heat. Then we'll just take and brown this off in batches. Save that for the meat. So as the meat is browning, I'm going to do it in batches and we can get it all browned off completely. And then we'll be right back. Okay, now I got that all browned off. One little piece in here. Now, so I have my roasting pan here all full of the meat. That's just sitting on the side here. Now to our pot. I'm going to put in approximately 5 cloves of garlic. I got minced garlic here already. And along with 2 teaspoons of tomato paste. Now if I had that squeezed tube, that tomato paste is wonderful because then you don't have to worry about opening up a can. I'm just going to take the rest of this and put it in a little Ziploc freezer bag and freeze it. Then I can have it whenever I need it. Just cut off a chunk, a piece as you go along. Excuse me. So now we just want to stir what's left in the pot here with all those little crummy crumbs. Scrape those bottoms. That's going to give a lot of flavor to your stew. And we want to open up the oils of the garlic and frying up the tomato paste to make it more aromatic and more fragrant. And we only do this for about a minute because we don't want to brown off the garlic, we just want to heat it up. And then we can just pour this all back into our pot, our roasting pot here, to our roaster. Okay. Then, in the pot now, we're going to have approximately 4 cups of water. And 1 bottle of beer. And this is what's going to make the flavors really wonderful. So now let's bring this up to a simmer. Wait, let's come to a boil. And we can put that in our pot. And then I'm also going to add the beef base. And I'm going to put in, about 2 teaspoons of beef base. And that's going to give it a rich beef stock flavor. Oh, that smells good. That reminds me of Amel's Bar up in Jim Falls, Wisconsin. The smell of beer. So my dad used to drag me as a kid all the time. He'd go fishing, and after he'd fished for an hour or 2 on the rocks, then he'd go up to the bar. Okay, so then, when this comes to simmer, comes to boil, pour it over our meat, stir that up a little bit. We'll throw that in the oven, let it cook for an hour, and then we can go on with our vegetables. Oh, and I almost forgot. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And a couple of bay leaves. And that's a boiling. So we can just pour this right over the top of our meat. And like I said, we'll just give that a little stir. And then we'll just put this in the 350-degree oven. And we'll let this bake for about an hour. And then you can just stir it like every 15 minutes, every half hour. Now we can go on to our vegetables. We're still in the same pot. Might have to add just a titch more oil, because that's all absorbed into the meat and into the sauce stew. So I was going to put in about a tablespoon. Don't need a lot. And now we're going to take and brown off our vegetables. We'll cook these for about 10 minutes. Now I have 4 ribs of celery cut into big chunks, and then I got red potatoes so I don't have to peel them. You can keep the peels on. But I got them almost like the fingerlings, the smaller ones, so I can cut these in half. And then I have 3 small onions I quartered. And then I have, oh, I love carrots. So you can put about a pound and a half of carrots in. And these are all cut into big chunks. Now we'll just take and let these roast for approximately 10 minutes. And just stir them every so often. We just want to brown them. We don't need to cook them all the way through. So that's going to happen later when we add this to the stew. It just helps to give it a little kickstart. We let this go for 10 minutes. Just stir it every so often. And then when they're done, we'll just push this aside and wait for the meat to get done. And then we'll dump the meat back into the Dutch oven. And then we'll bring everything together and let it cook until the vegetables are tender. Okay, this magic of television has been an hour. Now I'm gonna take out my Dutch oven here, or my roasting pot of beef stew. And my vegetables were all nice and brown. So after I browned them in here for like 10 minutes, I just left the cover on and just put it aside so the oven stovetop wasn't on. They just sit here for an hour, and the steam and that soften up. So it's not going to take too much longer now to cook and finish off the stew. So I got the pot back on medium, and I'll just dump all the goodness in there. Smell-o-vision. Can you smell? Oh, it smells wonderful. Now, we're going to take and let this simmer. Bring this up to a boil first. And then when it starts to boil, we can turn it down to low simmer, and then let it simmer for an hour. I got a little hole, air vent in the top of my lid, so I can let that go like that. But if you don't, just set your lid off to the side like that. It's on a little tilt, so that the steam can escape. So that way the moisture can start to escape, and the sauce can start thickening up on its own. So, let me bring this to a boil, and then we'll let it simmer for another hour, and then we'll come back and then we'll have din din. Okay, now our beer beef stew is done. Oh, is this ever looking good? Now, if you want to, which I did, I wanted to thicken this up, because this is more of a brothier soup or stew, and I want a thicker, gravier type of stew. So what I did is I just took a 1/4 cup of flour and a 1/4 cup of water, and mix that together, and just pour that in slowly, and then make sure you're constantly stirring them so it doesn't coagulate and get lumps. And then you'll take and get this nice, rich, brothy stew. Now I'll just put some out here, and then we'll get a close-up of this. Ooh, lots of veggies and meats, lots of carrots. Love the carrots. And the carrots, of course, is good for eyesight. Have you ever seen a rabbit wearing glasses? No. That's an old joke from way back when. Okay, so let me get a close-up of this, and I'll be right back. And then here's our lovely beef stew. Oh, isn't that delicious? The beer beef stew. It tastes wonderful. Oh, that tomato makes it a wonderful flavor and broth. Mmm. Hope you enjoy. So now we're going to go on to our next recipe, our next beer recipe. And this is going to be my famous beer batter. Oh, this is like the best batter around. It really, really is. It's a very light, crispy, thin tempura batter. Now if you've been to Oriental restaurants and you got tempura shrimp, it's like really light and crispy, crunchy and thin. That's the way this is. This isn't a thick German beer batter, which is what I was raised on in Wisconsin. We always had that thick German beer batter where, you know, you get like about half inch, quarter inch thick of dough wrapped around your food. And it's just, no, I don't like that. I like something crunchy, you know? So I found this recipe out of a Chinese cookbook, out of Lian Chin's actually. And I've been using this recipe for years. It's excellent on fish, seafood, vegetables, any type of deep frying that you want to do, that you want a light, crispy batter. It's excellent. In fact, if you wanted to do like sweet and sour pork or sweet and sour shrimp, sweet and sour chicken, you dip your pieces of meat into this batter and deep fry it, and then you have your sweet and sour sauce on the side, and you mix that in together and then serve it on a bed of rice. Really wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So what we're going to do is, let's see now, I want to mix this up. I got two things in my head going on here at the same time. So I want to use my roaster pan because I have my walleye fillets thawing out here. They're thawed out and they were frozen, and I had them in water thawing out along with my prawn shrimp. Now I take and I'm patting them dry here. I've got them on paper towels so that it can absorb all the liquid, or as much as possible, off of the seafood. And you want to do that because then your batter is going to cling to the meat much easier. Same way like we did with roasting our meat for the stew. You pat it dry to get rid of that excess moisture, so that way it browns easier. Same way with the seafood. If you pat it dry, your dough is going to adhere to the meat much nicer. It's not going to like, I don't know, I'm sure you've had that happen before. You've tried deep frying something and it's like, you dip it in the batter and everything just slides right off. Well, this is what, that's what main reason does it, is because it was too wet. Next thing the other thing you can do is we're going to take and just dust it in flour. And then when the flour clings to the meat, then when you dip it in the batter, then the batter clings to the flour, to the meat. You get the picture. It all rolls together. So anyway, I have 1 cup of beer. This is the easiest recipe in the world. Very, very easy. And then we add 1 cup of flour. And of course, we want to make sure to level this off. And then we have 1 egg. I can take and dip the whole fillet in and then deep fry, or I can cut it into pieces. And I think I'm going to take and cut this into pieces so that, like I said, we can do a fish and chip routine. We have pieces of fish rather than great big long ones. Now, I did this once before when we had fish sandwiches on a hoagie bun, which was wonderful. It's the same thing. But now I think we'll do this in pieces so we can have fish and chips. And then we'll have, you know, pieces of fish rather than a big long fillet. So that way it's a little bit more easier to eat. So it's more like finger food. Okay, get that skin part. There we go. And I just want to get a little bit of flour. You don't need a lot. So what we're going to do is just dredge it in the flour first. and then we can dip it into the batter. So in that flour, I want to season. Salt and pepper is the best. Here we go. I want to take and do some, I got some soul food seasoning. And I'll put this into the flour mixture. And we're gonna go to about a half teaspoon there. With like about a half cup of flour. And then I'm gonna put in about a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. And then we'll just take a fork and mix this together. So now we'll just take our fish and we'll just dredge it in this flour mixture. Now I got enough here, I can do pieces, probably a basket full at a time. So let me just take and coat these pieces of fish with the flour first before dipping them in, you know, one at a time, so that I can get them all in at approximately the same time. Because otherwise the first one's going to be done while the last one just got in, you know what I'm saying? It only takes about 3 minutes to cook up a fish when it's this fresh and this thin. And this is the Canadian walleye. So now my basket I have here, it's already down. So now we can take and just dip this into our beer batter. Shake off the excess batter and just lay that in there. That's why I wanted to get this flour part done first, that we can lay these in all at the same time. It makes it go by quicker, easier. And remember just to lay these in, don't drop them, because you don't want to have hot oil coming up and splattering you. It's so dangerous. Now that you can see that how the batter is sticking to the fish. And the excess fall off. There we go. And then we'll just let this cook approximately 3 to 4 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. I like to give the basket a little shake because with fresh batter on food, when you drop it into your basket, it'll adhere to the netting of the basket. So we just want to make sure we just give it a little shake so it doesn't stick to it. And these are nice and fluffy. Ooh, these are gonna be good. So while these are cooking, like I said, it's gonna take about 3 to 4 minutes. Let us make some tartar sauce. Okay, so to make my tartar sauce, I have like about a half a cup of mayonnaise and about 2 tablespoons of sweet relish. Now I don't have any sweet relish, so I have to compensate. And I had some dill pickles, and I just chopped those up real fine. Mix those in, and then I put in a little packet of Equal, just to keep it diabetic. Doesn't have all the excess sugar. And that's it. The sweet relish and mayonnaise is all you need. Now a lot of people like to put in like hot pepper sauce, a little cayenne, this and that, lemon juice, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to. The best tartar sauce is just plain mayonnaise and sweet relish. That's it. Like about 2 to 1. 2 parts mayonnaise to 1 part relish. Oh, and here we go, nice and golden brown. Now we'll let those drain for a bit. And let's see. I'm going to put these in the oven. Just to keep them warm. See, nice golden brown. Ooh, I'll get close up to this. Believe me, I will. But those are nice. Oh, nice and crispy, golden brown. I'll keep these in the oven. And then we can go on to doing the same thing with our shrimp. I got those all patted dry, and we'll do the same thing. Take and just lay this into our flour, seasoned flour, and then dip. Let the excess drip off, and we'll just put that, lay that in. Like I said, now be careful, don't drop it in so you don't get that hot oil all over yourself. I've had incidences where I've had those hot oil burns and they're not fun, let me tell you. Now, like I said, I don't want that first one to be overcooked that I put in. So I'm doing 8 of these. Why don't I just stop right there? And I'll do these other 4, like we did with the fish. We'll just flour these up. And then we'll do the batter so they can be all done at the same time. Shaky, shaky. Just to keep that batter from adhering to the basket. So let me just fry these up, and then we'll dip these in the batter and fry those up too. So I got 2 batches here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, here's our lovely platter of beer battered seafood. Here we have our fresh walleye in our beer batter, and it's kind of nicer to have it in pieces rather than a big, large fillet, unless you're doing a sandwich or serving a big dinner. But for snacking, you got great little pieces you can just dip in the tartar sauce. I also made my own cocktail sauce, which is just the same way as with tartar. It's just 2 to 1, 2 parts of ketchup, 1 part of horseradish, and just mix that together. And then over here we have the lovely Tempura battered shrimp. Oh, look at these, aren't they beautiful? Mmm. And then I got a couple slices of lemon served on a bed of lettuce. This is a great seafood dinner. So I hope you enjoy these tips and ideas and recipes for wonderful beer batter fish, beer battered shrimp, and beef stew. It was a beer day with Lining Kugels from Triple Falls, Wisconsin. So from the Gloves with Cooking Show, I like to say, eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.